Verdin skittered across the ground, his 8 legs treating the floor and the narrow walls around him as if they were the same. How must it feel to be a mancer, trapped to the floor all my life, he mused before coming to the end of his destination. Anything to prevent him from thinking about that destination. He could tell it was his destination because an enormous female from the Golden Orb clan stood surrounded by a contingent of particularly nasty-looking scorpions. I have to speak with her, he thought, hoping the panic wasn't too obvious. Honorable Venla, I come bearing inconvenient news. It seems that the armies at the northern reaches of the Beetle tribal grounds have been stalled. Casualties are high, and the field commanders think it might be too risky to push on into the cockroach termite commonwealth. He expected Venla to lash out in fury. Devourer, he almost flinched ahead of time in response. Instead, she simply responded, "And what possible field commander would have the cowardice and foolishness to think that the mighty arachnids would ever fall to termites, of all things?" Verdin, actually, but Verdin preferred not to be eaten, so instead he answered, "Well, esteemed commander, some have noted that it was the Commonwealth that stopped the Queendoms from conquering Secta all those years ago. Who in the Arachnid Collective would be so stupid as to use the failure of ants, wasps, and bees to predict the future and their 8-legged counterparts? Didn't they conquer us?" Venla's mouth parts formed what only another spider would recognize as a smirk. We were divided, and the scorpions, vinegaroons, and ticks were not forming the bulk of our labor. Besides, I don't remember my clan being conquered. The golden orbs remained free because the queendoms chose not to attack them, Verdin screamed in his mind, but decided that wouldn't be tactful to say to his superior. Unfortunately, he knew it was coming next. It always came next when discussing the queendom's takeover of the Arachnid realms. As a member of what had always been dubbed the Ogre Face clan by the Mancers, and something that roughly translated into the Net Building clan by his own kind, he had experienced the Whispers from a young age. Those daring monsters, once as cocky as the Spitters, the ones that used their webs as weapons rather than traps, the ones expected to defend the other spiders at the very border of their lands, the ones who cut tail and run. Verdin didn't blame his ancestors. He had a cowardly streak as well. It was probably only in his position because the tarantula himself once noted Verdin's tendency to follow battlefield layouts. By the egg layer, Verdin, if you hadn't turned that one battle where we were outnumbered by the Goliath tribe into a victory, I would have had you eaten a long time ago. This is stupidity born of cowardice, Ogreface, and I will hear none of it. Knowing that he had little other recourse, he submitted to her will and slinked away. It was expected, but disheartening all the same. Where could he go when the collective fell apart? It was going to, eventually, if only because the scorpions were growing restless about being a secondary superior species. Who else in the world would accept a spider after everything the tarantula was doing? The only ones who wouldn't hate him would be the fungoids, and being killed indiscriminately wasn't Verdin's favorite idea. He knew such ideas were traitorous under the Tarantula's Collective, but he didn't care. The great and impossible feat of uniting the spider clans would mean nothing when those same clans had their abdomens to the wall and several thousand angry scorpions and ants with blades and stingers pointed right at them. Ants, such vicious creatures for beasts that didn't seem to have any special physiological abilities beyond your typical abdominal stinger. Even that wasn't particularly impressive as far as those things went. But they could speak to each other in ways that even wasps looked upon with envy, matched only by the bees, a fact made even worse by the fact that the queendoms kept all 3 races united and always attacked in overwhelming numbers. Even worse, they were all female. Spider females were terrifying enough. Yes, the Arachnid Collective had its work cut out for it if the tarantula really intended to conquer all of Secta. There was no doubt about it.